Greetings, class. This is John Obadari. I'm starting this video off to properly introduce the course and the topic, which is on FIPPs, Fair Information Practice Principle. And we're going to go a little bit into depth through this presentation, allowing us to understand how different organizations use FIPPs and how it's compared between the different uses of it and how it could really be placed into use where it could protect our information and keep us safe with others trying to use information against us or what have you. This presentation hopefully would give you a better understanding of FIPPs in general. Thank you. What is FIPPs? Well, FIPPs stands for Fair Information Practice Principles. They are a set of 8 principles regarding data usage, collection, and privacy. They've been published since 1980 by the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, and the number of countries agreed upon them in the principle. Many organizations use them as guidance for how to handle personal data. Several of the principles listed in the FIPPs are included in the important privacy framework like the General Data Protection Regulation, GDPR, and the California Consumer Privacy Act, CCPA. Here are the 8 principles for the FIPPs. 1, we have collection limitation principle. 2, we have data quality principle. 3, we have purpose specification principle. 4, we have use limitation principle. 5, we have security safeguards principle. 6, we have openness principle. 7, we have individual participation principle. And 8, we have accountability principle. I am going to talk about 3 of them, which I believe are the most important because of the time and the limited space. So one that I think is very important is the purpose specification principle. The purpose for which personal data are collected should be specified not later than at the time of data collection. And another one I believe is very important is the openness principle. There should be a general policy of openness about developments, practices, and policies with respect to personal data. And another one that's very important is the collection limitation principle. There should be limits to the collection of personal data, and any such data should be obtained by law and in fair means. These 3, I believe, are very important to safeguard one's data to make sure others don't manipulate it and use it in a wrong intent. Thank you. This is to compare to the other practices and laws. We have CCPA, GDPR, and HIPAA, of course. The CCPA codifies some of these laws into practice. It includes the right to know, much like what is described in parts A and B of the individual participation principle that we learned in the slide above. The GDPR also includes a right to reassure, similar to the ability to have data erased as described by the Part D of the individual participation principle. As another example, the FIPPs data quality principle has a counterpart in the GDPR Article 5 requires that the personal data be accurate and were necessarily kept up to date. Every reasonable step must be taken to ensure that personal data that are inaccurate, having record to the purposes for which they are processed, are erased or rectified without delay. It is important to note that these privacy frameworks do not exactly match the FIPPs in their description and requirements. Organizations that want to comply with the GDPR, the CCPA, or any other privacy legislation needs to make sure they follow the requirement of those specific pieces of legislation, not just the FIPPs. Here's some information on how a federal agency can put each of the practices in use. We have any company can use these practices to better safeguard information of client staff and so much more. We have transparency, choice, information review and correction, information protection, and accountability. Now, as you read that, I also have some notes for you, and this one is more so on the individual and the practices used. So individuals have a moral claim to be involved in the governance of their personal data. Individuals' rights include privacy, autonomy, and the ability to choose for themselves how they want to manage risk, consistent with their own personal values and life situations. The Fair Information Practice Principle, FIPS, offers a framework for governance, privacy-enhancing technology that complies with applicable law, and FIPS offers a dynamic governance tool for enabling the fair and open use of individuals' personal data. Wow, wow, wow. That was a lot of information. Hope you were able to grab some and hope you were able to learn a little bit more about FIPS. This is the end of the presentation. I pray that you've taken notes and you're able to get a lot from this. Thank you so much for listening and see you till next time. Take care.